All right, it's Monday, February 12th. It's about midday. I'm looking at kind of a weekly chart on the SPY at the moment. This is the first day of the week right here. And for the foreseeable future, I'm just going to do kind of a weekly SPY update where at the end of the week, I kind of recap what unfolded for the week, what are some of the key levels to look for next week, what are maybe some of the expectations in play. Obviously, for the last, you can see here 5 weeks, it's been up, 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 up. I have a lot of videos on this channel describing the way I generally look at price action in terms of, the green and red bars, the midpoint of a prior bar, how I look at, if I go to the 15-minute chart, which is my intraday structure, I look at the pre-market range, I look at that opening 15-minute bar, and generally looking for directional price action, above the pre-market highs for moving up, below the pre-market lows for moving down. And there's a lot of videos here that kind of highlight the methodology I at least stay consistent with. So I'm going to kind of use that as the basis to kind of analyze things at the end of the week, kind of in this case, and I'll do it in a minute here, I'll kind of recap the 5 days of the week, what unfolded intraday, how that relates to the daily chart, and maybe some of the actionable signals. Again, a lot of what I do is strat based, so a lot of videos out there that describe the strat and the 1, 2, and the 3 bars. But I have my own kind of way that I kind of use that as my big picture analysis. But then I look at the kind of the intraday structure each day for day trading opportunities. But nevertheless, this kind of weekly recap will kind of it gives you an idea of kind of what's unfolding in the market in the bigger picture, and that generally helps with that, with day trading opportunities, because you can look at individual stocks the same way and see the ones that are acting strong or not strong relative to the overall market. So anyway, if we just go to the SPY, again, I'll recap this more at the end of the week. I kind of wanted to do a quick one that recaps the prior week here on February 9th. You can see here it was a green bar that continued up. We've had green, 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 green for the last 5-6 weeks here. So obviously the trend's up, moving into new all-time highs. There's been no reason to really get biased to the downside. On this week here, since we started to the upside, we do have an opening price right here that we will monitor as a reference point. If we get below there, maybe that starts the reversal of moving down through the halfway point of the prior week and getting some kind of an expectation for a 3 bar to the downside. But you're going to have to see that develop. So, I can't predict any of that, but I kind of know my key levels. And we have an open right here. That's an important level now to monitor going forward for the rest of the week, whether this stays green or red. And then we have the midpoint of the prior week. So that's what's unfolding here. We are at all-time high, so there's definitely exhaustion risk, but, there's no targets above, in other words, but, I can't be comfortable saying there's a top in place either. So you're just going to have to go day by day, bar by bar, and kind of see how it relates to that weekly chart. Obviously, the monthly chart, which I kind of look at a big picture, that's up too for February so far, and this is kind of the open of the year here, in January. So until we really get below there on any kind of pullback, the yearly chart is still projecting higher as well, and we'll go with that. But there could be, some 2 down days that develop here. This is the daily chart, but that really hasn't unfolded yet. And if it does, there could be some good opportunities to kind of broaden a little bit to the downside. In other words, if we get a 2, let's say this ends up being the bar today that closes, and we get a 2 down day tomorrow, we would kind of target this low here on Friday, potentially, even though we can hold the midpoint of the prior week. And, number one, you can get a good trade to the downside in the short run. And if it doesn't kind of reach, if it holds in the midway point of the prior week, somewhere in here, and then gets a 2 up bar, that becomes exciting to continue the trend. So for now, we're kind of at daily exhaustion risk, but we're still going with the upward price action. And you can see here, even today, I'll recap this more at the end of the week. This to me looks like a classic, first bar went up green, kind of paused, a little red. So we had about 4 inside bars here, and then we broke to the upside. That was a good buy for today. 1 push up, pause. We'll see if we make the second push up, but I'll recap by the end of the week. Also here, I'm highlighting with a rectangle, kind of the pre-market price action, because that's kind of important to me when we open up. And I've shot a lot of videos on this, the first 15-minute bar. If we're inside of that and we move up, I'm kind of expecting to take out those levels, and then we kind of monitor what happens from there. If we gap up above those levels, well, that could be a lot of strength that's being indicated, or gap below, a lot of weakness. So, that pre-market range is very important for my intraday analysis. And on this particular week, the prior week, I don't really have that highlighted. It will be highlighted Friday going forward. But, you can kind of see here, if we look at the 5 days last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there were 2 pause days, a good up day, another pause day, and an up day. So, on the pause day, when we ended the week last week, right in here, green, you kind of expected those highs to be taken out. So when we paused the first 2 days of the week, that was kind of exciting to look for one of these days that's going to eventually test that high. And obviously, right out of the gates, it didn't do it. Here was the high of the previous week right here. So the very first bar here, 15-minute, had a red and down. So you kind of started lower to start on Monday, but it didn't follow through all that much. And it wasn't an easy red to green buy because you weren't kind of holding the midpoint of the prior day. So it kind of started lower. If you wanted to, get real aggressive and sell just based on the opening price action, I'm sure there was an intraday low, pre-market low in this little pivot here, which it took out, and you could have had a quick gain. But obviously the market snapped right back and held that area. So you're kind of expecting higher because we're expecting that high to be taken out at some point during the week. And again, on Tuesday, it didn't really do all that much. Kind of started red, went down for a bar or two, paused, held the midpoint of that first bar, made a second push down. So there was no real follow through lower, and yet you did an opportunity on this one for a red to green buy, I think, in the first 3 bars, but obviously it didn't really get back up to those highs of the day. That's what you expect on the red to green. And once you see an hour go by and you're not getting right out of the gates, you want that red to green to immediately get to those highs of the day, and it didn't do that. So you wouldn't get hurt too bad on this day, but it didn't follow through. But then we start getting the upward movement again. Here was a beautiful, gap up, pause on bar 2, great buy on bar 3, 1 push up, pause, second push up to the highs of the day. Thursday, you're expecting, you're holding the midpoint of the prior day. You're looking for some kind of a green opening, which didn't really happen, or it started lower, but it held the midpoint of the prior day. I don't see a great red to green move early, and it was kind of tough to judge what this day was, other than you just had an upward bias and we drifted higher. And then on Friday, it was a very good, first bar up, pause, buy, breakout here on bar number 3, 1 push up, pause, second push up to end the week. So, it was a nice week on a few days to trade, a couple of choppy days in there, shouldn't get hurt too bad. The bias was up all week, and now, we start up green on this week here. You could see that, but there's a long way to go. I'm going to reference that opening price action, opening price of the week right here. If we get some kind of 2 down bar if tomorrow, or a failure bar by the end of today, then we could play some shorts and see if we take that out. But if we do that, just know you got to get through the midpoint of the prior week in order for it to stick. If not, then it'll be exciting to kind of look for buy opportunities back up along with the trend. But at some point in here, you're getting a little exhaustion risk, and the weekly charts are going up, up, up. There should be some kind of, like here when we went up, 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 up. At some point, you'll sense the weekly charts getting weaker up here, and then that'll be either a pullback deep or some kind of consolidation. This consolidation, once we started losing momentum, the upside seemed to take place for 4 weeks before resuming higher. So we could be getting ready for some kind of price action like that unfolding, but we will go day by day. And again, my plan is just do a weekly recap for now, and kind of see if that is it'll help kind of keep an eye on what the overall market is doing, how it's unfolding, and maybe there'll be some very clear expectations along the way about what will unfold day to day. Now I just see kind of up, up, up with a little exhaustion risk. So I'm not that excited about the momentum to the upside, and yet the pullbacks until I really see the weekly chart fail in some way. I'm not that excited about that either. So you got to be kind of nimble here and kind of just look, I think, more at intraday structure of this 15-minute chart. That will be some of the key opportunities, I think, early on, as opposed to some bigger picture opportunities where you have exhaustion risk to the upside and yet a big trend, in place to the upside as well. So, that kind of makes it tough to know if you're really getting ready for an explosive continuation higher or some kind of deep pullback. You don't know, but the day-to-day opportunities still seem to be there. So we'll see how it goes. For now, let me wrap this up. I'll be back at the end of the week and kind of recap the 5 days, and then for today, I see kind of a secondary move developing, take out the high of the day, and that, if that happens, that could be it for the day here in the morning. And then we will see how this daily bar ends and how that then feeds into the next 4 days of the week.